I'm gonna test out 10 different carpenter jeans, and in this shootout, there were some surprise winners and losers. Welcome, I'm Carl Murawski, and this is the channel that helps you own better, look better, and live better. Now, right off the rip, I want to tell you that no brand sponsored this video. I purchased these jeans with my own money in an attempt to give you the most valuable information possible. This video does have a sponsor, however, and that is NAFS. Now, with the exception of the Patagonia, they are all 100% cotton. The Patagonia uses hemp, but I wanted to include it anyway. I didn't want to have any stretch jeans in this video because a lot of people, they don't like stretch, which meant that some of the brands that I wanted to include couldn't be included, like Duluth Trading Company, like Origin Maine, like Prison Blues, like Ariat. A lot of them don't have any non-stretch option. And also, I know this video is really long, so I included timestamps below so you can jump around in the video. And finally, I want to give a huge shout out to Project Farm. That is the channel that inspired this video, and this is the kind of information that I wish was available 20 plus years ago when I started my career in the trades. So, let's meet the contenders. Starting off with Carhartt, these are the men's utility jean loose fit 100% cotton denim. They are made from 13-ounce 100% cotton denim, as the name would imply. They cost $45, and they're made in Nicaragua. Wrangler Riggs. This model is known as the Riggs Carpenter Jean. They're made from 14.5-ounce 100% cotton denim. The price is $35, and they're made in Mexico. Diamond Gusset, or Gusset brand for short. Now this model is their Carpenter Jean. They are made from 14.5-ounce 100% cotton denim. The price is $89, and they're made in the USA. Big Bill, by popular demand. This model here is their Carpenter Jean. They are made from 100% cotton denim of unlisted weight. The price is $29, and they are made in Bangladesh. Key Apparel. This model here is known as their denim dungaree. They are made from 12-ounce 100% cotton denim. The price is $33, and they are made in Mexico. Roundhouse. This model is their stone-washed carpenter jean. They are made from 14-ounce 100% cotton denim. The price is $90, and they are made in the USA. Ben Davis. This model is their carpenter pants. They are made from 14-ounce 100% cotton denim. The price is $53, and they're made in Kenya. Dickies. This model here is their Carpenter Jean. They are made from 11.75-ounce 100% cotton denim. The price is $35, and they are made in Bangladesh. Union Line. This model is their 25-309 denim carpenter jean. They are made from 14.7-ounce 100% cotton denim. The price is $88, and they are made in the USA. Patagonia Workwear. This model is known as their Work Denim 5-Pocket Pant. They are made from 66% cotton, 20% hemp, and 14% lyocell. The price is $125, and they are made in Sri Lanka. Now, you watch videos like this to help you decide which products will fit your needs and last a long time. That brings me to this video's sponsor, NAFS. NAFS has been a long-time supporter of this channel. They help me bring these videos to you, and there are two products of theirs that I want to talk to you about today, and that's from their Made in USA line. This one here, this is called the Lulu. This is the original. This is the one that really piqued my interest. I brought this with me to Montana, and it was my sidekick the entire time. I mean, it's just a perfect size, especially for EDC kind of stuff. Now, if you've never EDC'd a fixed blade before, it can be a little bit tricky, but luckily they give you a couple of different sheath options. For a little bit more money, you can get a leather one like this, which is, of course, my one of choice, but you could also get a Kydex sheath, and you know, you can carry it in any number of different ways, but nice palm-filling handle, just a good grip on it, nice jimping at the top there so your thumb doesn't slide forward. It's almost perfect. But if you want a little bit of a bigger knife, because you know, this is nice and it's compact and everything, but for some bigger tasks, you want something that has a little bit more oomph behind it, right? That's when they came out with the large Lulu. Now this is a little bit different, right? I mean, it definitely shares the same DNA. It's still a relatively big knife, but it's also very easy to carry. Now these knives are sort of the headline story. I mean, that's what you buy, right? But one of the things that they definitely didn't cheap out on is these sheaths, and I think it's a perfect companion. So if you like the traditional leather sheath, these have a nice bit of retention in them, so you can wear this under your belt and do all number of different things and it's not gonna fall out. But some people want a little bit more of a positive lock. Are you ready for the most satisfying click you've heard today? Listen to this. That's not going anywhere. These two little American-made knives go into their American-made sheaths here, and they are like the perfect companion. So a little bit more about Knafs as a company and why I'm going on 2 years working with them. I honestly love the company. They make a great product, there's no doubt about it. These two right here are some of my favorites and they're excellent, but I have several others as well because these are expensive. So if you go there and you say, well, you know, the Lulu is a very expensive knife. What can I get that's a little bit cheaper? They have a lot of options for you, and that's the great thing. Under that umbrella, they have a whole range of products for all different budgets and needs, because not everybody wants to carry around a fixed blade knife either. But if you go on their website, there's a whole bunch of knives in different shapes and sizes, basically perfect for any type of application. So I suggest that you go over there, just peruse around a little bit, check them out, laugh at some of their jokes. They are a great company, and I am very proud to have them as a sponsor on this video. So go show them some love. They are the reason that videos like this, which cost a lot of money, can keep coming to you. Let's get back to the shootout. Stitching. Carhartt features a triple-stitched outseam and a double-stitched inseam. Wrangler has a triple-stitched outseam and a double-stitched inseam. Gusset has a double-stitched outseam and a double-stitched inseam. Big Bill features a triple-stitched outseam and a triple-stitched inseam. Key features a triple-stitched outseam and a triple-stitched inseam. Roundhouse has a double-stitched outseam and a double-stitched inseam. Ben Davis has a triple-stitched outseam and a triple-stitched inseam. Dickies has a triple-stitched outseam and a double-stitched inseam. Union Line has a triple-stitched outseam and a double-stitched inseam. Patagonia features a triple-stitched outseam and a triple-stitched inseam. As you can see, some of these jeans utilize a combination of triple and double stitching. However, that's not the end of the story. The Carhartt, Big Bill, Key, Ben Davis, and Patagonia utilize flat felled seams on both the inseam and the outseam. This is a very strong type of seam where each piece of fabric is basically folded onto one another and then sewn all the way through, and it'll be interesting to see how this seam affects our durability test. Pockets. The Carhartt back pockets are 7 inches by 7 inches and they are double lined at the bottom. The right leg pocket is 9 inches by 4.5 inches. The smaller one is 5 3/4 inches by 4.5 inches. The left leg pocket is 6.5 inches by 4 inches. The leg opening is 8 3/4 inches. The front pockets are 12 inches by 7 inches. There is no crotch gusset. The back pockets on the Wrangler are 6 3/4 inches by 7.5 inches with a reinforced edge. There is no right leg pocket, and the single left leg pocket measures 7.5 inches tall by 4 inches wide. The leg opening is 9 1/4 inches. The Wrangler has a reinforced pocket corner. The front pockets are 2 1/4 inches by 7 inches, and the Wrangler has a crotch gusset. Back pockets on the gusset measure 6 3/4 inches by 6.5 inches, however only 5 inches of that width is usable. The right leg pocket measures 9 1/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and the small pocket measures 3 3/8. The leg opening is 8.5 inches. The front pockets measure 11.5 inches by 8 inches. As the name suggests, the gusset has a crotch gusset. The back pockets on the big bill measure 7 inches by 7.5 inches. The large right leg pocket measures 8.5 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and the small one measures 5 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. The leg opening is 9 1/8. The front pockets measure 12 inches by 6 3/4 inches. There is no crotch gusset. Keys back pockets are 7 inches by 7 1/4 inch. The large right leg pocket measures 9 inches by 4 inches, and the small one measures 4 inches by 4 inches. The leg opening is 9 inches. The front pockets are 13 inches by 6 3/4 inches. There is no crotch gusset. Back pockets on the roundhouse measure 7 1/8 inch by 6.5 inches. The large right leg pocket measures 8.5 inches by 4.5 inches, and the small one measures 4 7/8 inches by 4.5 inches. The leg opening is 9 inches. The front pockets measure 11.5 inches by 6.5 inches. There is no crotch gusset. The back pockets on the Ben Davis measure 6.5 inches by 7 inches and feature copper rivets at the corners. The large right leg pocket is a whopping 11 1/4 inches by 4 inches, and the small one is 5 inches by 4 inches. The left leg pocket measures 6 7/8 inches by 4 3/4 inches. The leg opening is 10 inches. The front pockets measure 12.5 inches by 7.5 inches. There's no crotch gusset on the Ben Davis. Back pockets on the Dickies measure 7 1/4 inches by 7 inches. The large right leg pocket measures 9 inches by 4.5 inches, and the small one measures 4.5 by 4.5 inch. The leg opening is 8.5 inches. The front pockets are 10 3/4 inches by 6 inches. There is no crotch gusset. The Union Line back pockets measure 7 inches by 6 3/4 inches, and they have a double-lined bottom. The large right leg pocket measures 9 inches by 8 1/4 inches, and the small one measures 3 3/4 inches by 4 1/4 inch. The leg opening is 9 inches. The front pockets measure 11.5 inches by 7.5 inches. There is no crotch gusset. The double-lined back pockets on the Patagonia are pointed, and they measure 6 3/4 inches by 6.5 inches. The single right leg pocket measures 8 inches by 4 3/4 inches. The leg opening is 8 1/4 inch. The front pockets measure 12 inches by 7 inches. And the Patagonia has a crotch gusset. The pocket layout in these jeans varies widely from model to model, and depending on your preference, you may see one of these and say, that's exactly what I want, and you may see another and say, no way. For example, the Ben Davis has a nearly 1 foot deep leg pocket, which might be perfect for some people who carry small tools in there, but for others who put, things like a pencil or something, it's gonna get lost and just swallowed up. Now, the Carhartt, Patagonia, and Union Line all have double bottom back pockets, which for me work really, really well. I almost always have my lineman pliers in my right back pocket, and they often poke through the bottom when it's not double lined. So that's something that I look for. One thing I did notice is that the Patagonia is definitely the cleanest stitched inside. So looking at the other ones, of course, the Patagonia is a lot more expensive, but this is where you see that money spent. Something I look for on every pair of pants that I buy is whether the belt loops are sewn to the fabric, but then they're also sewn again beneath the waistband. And if you clip your keys to your belt loop, I'll bet you feel the exact same way. The belt loop at the bottom will not give way entirely. You actually have kind of a fail-safe because it's, again, stitched beneath the waistband. It's just a stronger way of attaching your belt loops. The Patagonia, Carhartt, and Big Bill all have belt loops which are sewn beneath the waistband, so it'll be interesting to see how they test compared to the others. The Carhartt belt loops are sewn beneath the waistband. And the Carhartt belt loop failed at 66.5 pounds. Wrangler Riggs belt loops are not sewn beneath the waistband. And the Wranglers failed at 46.8 pounds. Gusset's belt loops are not sewn beneath the waistband. And they failed at 53.1 pounds. Big Bill's belt loops are sewn beneath the waistband. And they failed at 40.6 pounds. Key's belt loops are not sewn beneath the waistband. And they failed at 22.5 pounds. Roundhouse belt loops are not sewn beneath the waistband, and they failed at 28.8 pounds. Ben Davis belt loops are not sewn beneath the waistband, and the Ben Davis failed at 20.9 pounds. Dickies belt loops are not sewn beneath the waistband, and they failed at 29.8 pounds. Union line belt loops are not sewn beneath the waistband, and they failed at 42 pounds. Patagonia belt loops are sewn beneath the waistband, and they failed at 39.9 pounds. The airflow test is kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, sure, it's nice to have pants that can breathe and you have some airflow, but on the other hand, a denser, tighter weave means that your jeans will ultimately last longer. So it'll be interesting to compare these results to the ultimate toughness of each brand at the end. Carhartt measured 0.82 meters per second. Wrangler measured 0.73 meters per second. Gusset measured 1.46 meters per second. Big Bill measured 0.49 meters per second. Key measured 1.740 meters per second, the best in the group. Roundhouse measured 0.86 meters per second. Ben Davis measured 1.31 meters per second. Dickies measured 0.62 meters per second. Union line measured 1.25 meters per second. Patagonia measured 0.45 meters per second. The leg pull test is where the men are separated from the boys, so to speak. You can have all the features that you want, but if you have a blowout in the second week, then the jeans are junk. So basically what I do is I take my old engine hoist here and I try to pull the legs apart on each pair of jeans. Then using the crane scale, I record the highest number that it measured. Now, just to give you a point of reference, the toughest pair of pants that I've ever pulled apart with these were the Carhartt BO1s, and they measured over 300 pounds. So let's see how these do. And the Carhartt failed at 175.4 pounds, tearing at the leg. Wrangler failed at 202.3 pounds, and to quote my buddy from Project Farm, very impressive. Gusset failed at 73.8 pounds and tore, where else? Right at the gusset. Big Bill failed at 183 pounds, tearing right down the middle. Key failed at 167.8 pounds and tore right at the top of the leg. Roundhouse failed at 179.3 pounds and tore at the leg. Ben Davis failed at 110.6 pounds, failing at the crotch. Dickies failed at 109.9 pounds and ripped at the leg. Union line failed at 168.5 pounds, tearing right down the middle. Patagonia failed at 136.4 pounds, tearing at the top of the leg. For the penetration test, I used an arbor press to push a piece of 1/4-inch threaded rod through each piece of fabric. Each one was then measured and recorded in pounds and inches. The Carhartt failed at 42 pounds, 7 ounces. Wrangler failed at 27 pounds, 6 ounces. Gusset failed at 37 pounds, 12 ounces. Big Bill failed at 27 pounds, 7 ounces. Key failed at 30 pounds, 12 ounces. Roundhouse failed at 35 pounds, 10 ounces. Ben Davis failed at 20 pounds, 13 ounces. Dickies failed at 24 pounds, 12 ounces. Union Line failed at 34 pounds, 4 ounces. And Patagonia failed at 34 pounds, 2 ounces. Now, it took me a long time to figure out how to properly test abrasion. And in my opinion, this is probably one of the most important things when it comes to workwear, because you're constantly rubbing against things or kneeling on the ground or what have you, so abrasion really matters. Then one day I did a tour of a fabric laboratory, and they had a machine similar to this right here, which is specifically meant to measure abrasion. And basically what it does is it moves a piece of abrasive in an oscillating figure-8 pattern over the material that you want to test. So what I considered a failure in this test is when I began to see the weft yarns come through. Because as you probably know, if you wear through the knees of your jeans, a tear is imminent. It's coming. It's gonna happen either in the next wash cycle or something, but they're not gonna be good for much longer. So I figured that's when it would be good to call it a failure. Now, denim fabric is inherently very tough, and it took thousands of passes of 220 grit abrasive to see any kind of wear. So I sat there, I had to babysit the machine and make a judgment call as to when it failed. That means what you see here are approximate numbers and not exact numbers, because unlike a tear, it doesn't happen all at once. It happens gradually. Hammer loops. You don't use them, I don't use them, but they're on every pair of carpenter pants I've ever seen. Well, almost. Because of the bunch here, there's one that doesn't have a hammer loop, the Big Bill. And that's kind of weird, because I thought that that was something that you absolutely had to have on a pair of carpenter pants. Now, I know that some people actually do use the hammer loop, and it came to my attention a little while ago that the best way to use this is with a wooden handled hammer, not a rubberized one. But anyway, let's measure how much pressure it takes to pull them off of each pair of pants. Carhartt failed at 130 pounds. Wrangler failed at 50.5 pounds. Gusset failed at 42.3 pounds. Key failed at 91.8 pounds. Roundhouse failed at 106.3 pounds. Ben Davis failed at 53.9 pounds. Dickies failed at 72.3 pounds. Union Line failed at 75.2 pounds. Patagonia failed at 68.3 pounds. All right, so that's a lot of data. What do we do with it? Well, I like to lay it out in a format like this so I could see some trends that might emerge. And my top picks are definitely Carhartt, Wrangler, Gusset, and Roundhouse. Carhartt took the most wins with 4. Wrangler, Gusset, and Roundhouse took 3 each. So those are some fantastic options. Where things start to get interesting is when you factor in price. Now, Gusset and Roundhouse are both about 90 bucks, which is a lot of money, but if you want a USA-made option, those are the ones that you should look at. Which leaves us with Carhartt and Wrangler, which are about $10 away from one another. $45 for the Carhartt and $35 for the Wrangler. And I think of those two, you really can't go wrong. It's gonna depend on what you like. You know, Wrangler has that cool reinforcement at the edge of the pockets, which I'm sure comes in handy, but Carhartt scored really high in the durability tests, and it has those double-lined back pockets, so it's gonna depend on what you value as to which one of these work jeans is best for you. Now, the one that disappointed me the most is the Ben Davis, and I was actually kind of surprised because these got a lot of love from people in the comments, so maybe I'm missing something here, but they're the only ones that are made in Kenya, and something about the weave of that fabric felt kind of loose, which might work for airflow, but when it comes to durability, it's not so great. I could also see a situation where somebody would prefer the Patagonia, provided that you have the wallet for it. It's very expensive, but there's a lot of great features and it's very neatly finished. So if those fit you well, and you like the whole hemp thing and their environmental stuff, the Patagonia is gonna be the one to go to. I really hope that this video has been helpful. Thank you so much to my patrons. You are the ones who make this possible. For the rest of you, please let me know what else you would want to see compared. These tests take a long time, they're very expensive, but this is the kind of information I wish I had when I was just starting out, so it's worth doing. Please let me know in the comment section below if there's any that I missed, or other comparisons, other types of workwear you'd like to see compared, and I will certainly do my best to accommodate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.